Hi, and welcome.
I'm Z.
And I'm Keith.
And we're going to tell you about the movie that we just watched. But first, a little bit of a heads up.
Some of the movies we watch deal with heavy subject matters.
In order to talk about these emotionally delicate things and the heavy subject matters that we sometimes cover, we had humor and crude language to add some levity and to process our own trauma.
If that doesn't feel fun or safe for you, we completely understand. Please take care of yourself first and foremost.
And we spoil the end of pretty much every movie that we watch.
Now you know. On with the show. Yeah, I guess I'm ready.
I feel like my ears are so clogged.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It just keeps happening.
Well, the weather keeps being
I don't know. At least I'm not
all
getting
over.
crazy migraines.
Knock balls.
Knock on balls. Knock ball wood.
Yeah, was it mine? I had that for like a day, and then I felt sick for a day.
Yeah. Same. I felt like I was getting, my sinuses were all fucked up. I was like, oh, God. And then I felt better, and now my sinuses are all fucked up again.
Yeah.
But the weather's all fucked up, too.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Raining.
You seem to hate this movie a lot.
I got angry multiple times. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. It was I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of this film. Like,
really?
It was really. There was a lot that I was like. I mean, I think this is the first Spike Lee film I ever saw.
So you have seen it before?
Oh yeah, remember?
No, I didn't remember. I thought it was unknown if you had seen it in its entirety in the past.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen it from the very beginning, but I'd seen enough of it to know what was going on. I just didn't. I can't remember if I'd actually seen, like, or maybe I just didn't understand, like, what the mayor had to do with anything and stuff, right? Or the governor.
Governor, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. I get mayor and
Hi, Mayor.
I'll be honest that mayor and governor, as a full adult, still don't understand what each one does. I don't understand how they're different. I know that they're different. I understand that they're different words. I just don't know.
I know.
Okay, sorry.
No, I just, it's never going to get better.
I'm sorry.
I can't teach you anything.
I'm sorry. I don't want you to teach me anything.
Exactly.
So,
Richard Dreyfuss is right. We should all take a civics class. Taught by him. Via Bill Maher. Via real time.
While he's in blackface.
Yeah, and sliding down a armchair. Like Adam Schiff. District Attorney Adam Schiff, not the real life congressperson.
I was surprised. I thought I was misremembering it because I was like, it doesn't make a lot of sense that they would let this guy out of prison.
True.
To encourage his kid to join a specific. But I was like, I must have misremembered that part. It must be different than what I was thinking. But it's not.
Which is basically the premise of Gator.
But there was a lot of it that I was like, oh, if you're taking this movie like very literal and you're gonna not enjoy this movie.
Right.
And there's gonna be a lot of things that you're like, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. But if you're thinking about it in terms of like the symbolism of a lot of it or just like metaphors, then I feel like, I mean, it is a little obvious, but like there's a lot of depth in the storytelling and even in how, like, there's a lot of stuff like using real people to play essentially themselves as opposed to trying to make it seem. I think that aspect, can either pull people out of it, or for me, I think it made it seem more realistic in how gross that stuff can make you feel because they seem not good at shit. But like, because it's like, it makes me think of like, okay, I'm probably not making sense, but do you remember when you went through the phase of watching police interrogations?
Yes.
And you watch them and they're horrible. They're stupid. They say dumb shit.
The police.
Yes, the police. They are not good. You understand, like, it's like watching a toddler try to tell a joke. You're like, I've heard this before. I know exactly what you're going to say. I understand it.
Right.
And like, there's no real sort of like that gotcha, thing. Like they show in interrogations.
Right.
On television, and so a lot of times
also people, this is older than, for instance, Law and Order, which we watch a lot of, but people breaking down and confessing on the stand doesn't happen,
right? But there's like when you watch television, there's portrayals of these, and I mean, it's propaganda, it's propaganda, it's messaging to make you believe something, that something is real when it's not necessarily factual, and so when you have someone portraying a character like a scout for a school, when you have someone, if you give them, like, the role could be a great thing for someone to play and, put some lemon juice on it and make it zazzy or whatever. But if you want it to be real and you want it to feel that sort of like disconnect and be like, what, having someone who is not pretending and is giving you the real, it's going to let you understand how wild it is that people will fall for it, or that people
right.
And these are the people that do this for a living. So they're good at this. This is them being good at it. Right. And you're like, what? And I feel like it just added, like, because they talk to like coaches on football teams and the people that it's their job to like, and the guy, I looked in trivia and I didn't really see, I don't remember what the guy's name was, but the guy that's like the, I don't know.
The agent?
The
law is trying to get him to meet?
He's so terrible at acting, but I was so...
Yeah, I said, I believe this guy is an agent.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, this feels so... It was like uncomfortable because it felt so real. And I was like, this is like a thing that could take someone out if they're trying to get like a performance, but it's literally an actual pro athlete speaking with an actual agent. And there was something so real about it that it made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, totally.
And I was like, this is so interesting that, you could pull this off kind of in a film, like, and have it feel so slimy. And like, when he's like, you're black, I'm white. What color is this? Green.
Right.
That's the only color that matters. You're like, oh God, I've talked to this guy in a bar before.
Yeah, right.
And it just feels so gross.
Right here is a platinum and diamond Rolex. The best you can buy. Gold, forget about it. Silver, forget about it. You have platinum and diamonds. That's like having speed and power in the NBA. And Jesus, that watch is a gift from Dom Pagnotti to you. Keep it.
And it's so accurate. And if that guy was acting, that guy's, wow. Because it's like, it's one of those things where you have to be so good at performing that you can be bad at performing.
Right.
You know, and I feel like the section with John Turturro, it was great, but I mean, wait, what was that? That was Tech U. So that wasn't I don't think that was a real college.
No.
So, you know, they couldn't get someone really that was really doing that because it didn't exist. But for that scene, they needed more. Oh God, when he's praying and shit, and they're trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, please deliver Jesus to us. I got down on my knees and I asked God to let Tech University be the throne of Jesus.
But yeah, there was a lot of it that, and I don't know, like I know that it was like tricks, so I know that you don't like that because you don't like being tricked. You don't like music being used in films to make you feel something. You don't enjoy that.
Uh-huh.
But I really liked.
One way of saying it.
I don't know how. That's what you say. You don't like. Well,
I don't think that's quite how I talk about it.
Manipulated, but
yeah,
I don't know.
What I don't like is that I can be manipulated by the music,
right?
And so I get resentful,
right,
when a film tries to.
Yeah, especially if it works.
Especially if it works, yes.
Well, like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to talk about the music in this.
The music, that was something that I was like, it's a choice.
Uh-huh.
And I'm always really interested in like almost, it's not really anachronistic, wouldn't be the way to say it because it's not like out of time. But like it's not the kind of music you would associate with the topics being like you're sleeping with a guy who is trying to get me, like you're getting paid and sleeping with someone who's trying to get me to agree to, you know, not go to school and just go pro. And I'm lying to you about sleeping with someone else. And that that being a conversation that's happening. And the music that's happening in the background is not, it's not atmospheric. Like it's not the music that would be playing in that. It's not even music to make you feel. It's like, it's not even music that I would feel would be in an emotional scene in a different type of movie. Mm-hmm. But the music, it was so like, it was just slightly out of place enough to make you feel this. For me, it made the scene seem more real to me. It made it feel, because I was like, yeah, if you were seeing this in person, you would feel slightly, like if you were watching this, you would feel a little bit like you weren't supposed to be seeing it, or like something would seem a little, you know, you wouldn't feel like, it would feel uncomfortable. It would feel a little bit. And so it made it feel like you were watching these people like fucking break up because the music was slightly different. And I don't know, there was just something about it that I was like, this is a really interesting sort of trick, I guess.
Yeah.
The way that it was used and how it was used and when it was used, that it really hooked me in a way I wasn't expecting it to. And I didn't remember that at all the first time I was watching it. Yeah. And I was like, that's so crazy that I didn't remember Beef, It's What's for Dinner playing. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of it that I was like, this is really, I don't know. It was really interesting. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I know that you didn't like it a lot. Like what I mean by that is a lot of times you weren't liking it.
Yeah. Things I did enjoy. I thought Ray Allen was really good. I really liked him as Jesus.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of similar to what you're talking about. He felt out of place just enough for it to feel proper.
Right. It felt more like, because it feels like.
Where Denzel almost felt out of place.
Yeah.
Like, what's this actor doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else is an actor.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Rosaria Dawson, dad and uncle, the little sister, Booger, Yeah.
Yeah, there was, I feel like because in instances like that, like especially when they're using like someone who is like not a professional actor, but they're wanting like it's meant to feel like they wanted someone who could actually play basketball because the point of the movie is basketball. It's not, I mean, there's too much about basketball in this movie for if they had someone that wasn't even, didn't even play, or like they needed someone who was able to like do that. But there's something about when someone isn't trained to act, playing a role of someone, specifically someone young.
Yeah.
Or someone who's supposed to be sort of out of, that makes it seem, he seems slightly unsure, slightly like confused,
right?
And that is the sort of the crux of the entire, like, he's
right, that's
constantly bombarded with people saying things and doing things and
him constantly being like, I haven't made up my mind yet.
Or being like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And like I don't know why you agreed to this because you didn't ask me about it. Like, and it felt so like a young person for the first time having to stand up for themselves.
Yeah, right.
In a way that they, and that sort of like unsureness.
Well, especially
of like,
that it's mixed with so much praise and
yeah.
Oh my God, you're the best thing. He literally called Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's his name in the movie.
No, I know.
He's not just called it. That.
Yes, but like he makes a whole thing about like, I hated my name.
Yeah.
And of course, all the headlines have to make a pun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so real quick, the premise is Denzel is in jail. We don't know for what at first.
Yeah.
We see him shooting baskets.
Shooting hoops.
He's called in to see the warden, played by Ned Beatty.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they're like, oh, your son is the hottest piece of shit up-and-coming basketball player ever. And the governor, his alma mater is, what is it, Big
Tech.
Big school, top U.
Giant university. .tech.
It's his alma mater, and he would, he could make it worth your while if you were able to convince your son to go to that college.
Yeah.
We'll let you out of prison for a week to try to convince him, and then if you're successful, you will lessen your sentence by some. The governor will. Yeah,
basically, you'll get. And he doesn't.
The governor
will
shorten your sentence
by a great deal.
Yeah,
they don't say any numbers. They don't actually say, and also he doesn't sign anything.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Anyway, so it's this. That's your motivating. What do you call it? What's the structural term for it? Like, that's your crisis that has to be.
Yeah.
You got a short window of time to get this thing done. He's chaperone. He's accompanied by two cops. They more or less give him
they don't
freedom.
Really
they give him an ankle bracelet and they check in on him and show up and kind of harass him. But the cops are kind of funny.
Yeah.
One is played by Jim Brown, Spivey, and then the other guy, I forget his name, Chocha Crunch.
Gunt.
Charsh.
Chocha Charsh Gunt. Like that.
So, yeah, that's most of it. And then you meet, you get to see things from Jesus' perspective of, like, everybody pressuring him to make a choice. Mm-hmm. Him saying, fuck off, I'll choose on Monday.
Yeah.
we find out that his coach has been giving him money on the presumption that whoever he is working for is going to get him to go to choose that college or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he's dating Rosaria Dawson, who's playing Lala. And they're in love. And she starts saying, like, hey, there's a friend of a family who's an agent. He's like, I can't be meeting with agents. That's illegal.
Yeah.
And the aunt and uncle, even the uncle gets in on it.
The uncle.
Yeah,
the aunt is like, fuck
yeah.
off and leave me out of this shit.
The scene with them is pretty funny.
Oh,
pretty
I love
good.
it, yeah.
I want you to use some of my John the Conqueror root. Now, this is what my daddy brought up here from Mississippi. See, now you rub some of this here between your wrists and your elbows, see? Just like this here. This will fix you up real good.
Oh, Bubba, don't nobody care nothing about your country backward old root.
This mojo works. It worked on your ass.
But like he and the sister have their own apartment in the same building as aunt and uncle who raised them after.
Oh, is it the same building? I thought it was.
Well, that's a good point. I don't know. I just assumed how it was cut. But anyway. Turns out mom is dead because, as revealed later in a flashback, Jake, Denzel's character, the father, pushes her.
Well, he's getting like,
he's practicing one night with young Jesus and drinking
and being very
and getting aggressive, physically assertive, and like, under the guise of like, you got to be tough. You can't let people get under your skin and fuck up your focus. And so, but he starts getting physical with a child. He's what, maybe 8 at the oldest?
Yeah. Well, let me think.
He's so tiny.
I know. He's so tiny. I'm trying to think of what because it's 6 years that he's been in jail.
Oh, okay.
And so he's like 17 or 18. So he's like probably 10, 11 or
12?
Yeah.
No way. But anyway.
I
know. Jesus chucks the ball, game over and walks home. And then Jake comes home later. Everybody's at dinner and basically starts up again.
Yeah.
It gets physical. Mom tries to intervene and gets pushed off and
she just
deaded.
Yeah. But
so he's serving time for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things, though, that's like, there's a lot of stuff like that I found, interesting in how they, they bring up that he killed his mom, so that happened. So you're like, oh, God, like. And then when they show it, you're like, oh, this is something that if he wasn't black, he might not even go to jail for something like this.
Oh, right. Yeah, right.
And so, you're in this sort of, and I do think, there's stuff I don't want to speak on it because I'm not black and I don't grow up black. But there is, I think, something that was like, something that I definitely didn't understand when I first watched this when I was like 15 is I think, his name being Jesus, all that stuff is like a very, severe metaphor for the heavy pressure that is put on black folks to succeed to the point that it's not about your success. It's about you have to help everyone else get out of, which is it doesn't just happen. Obviously it's not just like a singular, experience to black folks or, anything like that. But I mean, like it is specific to like it being about sports, it being about physicality, it being about literally you have to perform for us to survive.
Right.
Is
because it's either sport, it's either athletics or it's entertainment. industry.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and this is just to say, like, this is something that is expected of Black folks in a way that is not expected of white folks.
Correct.
And by everyone, like, not just,
right.
And I think, it's something, just the way that it's portrayed in such a way that, like, every single person is trying to get a piece of him.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, I think, the portrayal of Jake and him sort of like being an imperfect character, I think that's important.
Yeah.
But like seeing that I think it's important to see like like Jesus is being exploited, but other people are being exploited to get to him too. Like how Lala talks about it. I'm like, I understand Lala's point of view because she's like, I'm not, because he's like, you took money, like you are trying to do XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, because I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah, right.
And I know that we're not going, like, we are in high school and your whole life's about everybody is looking to you. No one's looking to me. No one there. I don't have a future.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to take what I can get while I can get it. And I'm like, yeah, that's
well, and how the uncle talks too. Like,
right.
I mean, it's very different dynamic, but
yeah.
The fact that he's like, you're going to leave us behind. Like,
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, I would never do that
right.
to you.
Right.
But
he's
already decided that he's whatever Jesus would do on his own for them wouldn't be enough.
Right. And also like when he's like, I have dreams, you think I don't, that I'm like, oh God, felt so
that
like,
hurt.
Yeah. So I was like, Jesus, okay. I hurt my feelings. But also, but like like Jake being put in this predicament of like, you can help us and we'll help you, but then, and so you understand why he's doing it. But then when he tells that to Jesus and he's like, oh, you're just like everybody else then. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Correct.
Like you're being shown the difficult position that people are being in to have to ask him this shit.
Right.
Like
they're being exploited.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this is so, so like there could be like, like, okay, yeah, someone's probably not going to be fucking let out of prison,
Who knows?
But also the nature of corruption like that is where you're like, hey, that could totally happen. Like there's nothing.
Hey, if it could work for Suicide Squad.
It's just like, I don't know. There was a lot about the movie that I was like,
I can't think of a movie that uses that mechanism, device. That's the word I'm looking of letting somebody out of prison.
Yeah.
That I like.
Oh, okay.
Gator is okay. But one with Gene Hackman I watched, so horrible.
Yeah.
Domino Effect or something like that. Anyways.
But yeah, there's just like a lot of it that's
kind of makes me want to watch Cool Hand Luke though. You ever seen that?
No.
Sorry, go on.
I don't.
Sorry for talking on the podcast.
Sorry for you needing to speak only when I'm speaking.
Otherwise, how would it have any value? My opinions don't have any intrinsic value, just in the fact that I'm correcting you or
silencing me.
Adding, yeah. Primarily. For honest. No, but I was gonna just kidding.
What? Go ahead.
I wasn't.
Ugh. I don't trust you.
That's fair.
That's more than fair. Where I think I remember like I think I remember like I know you hated it and you didn't give a shit about it. But I think I remember when I watched this the first time, I think I watched it with my sister, and when the basketball like goes over, I think my sister was like crying, and I was like, "Why are you crying at this?" And she's like, "It just, and I was like watching it and I was like, I get it now. And I don't know, like there was something about it. I was like, I'm actually really impressed by the fact that I did feel kind of emotional and
I was emotional.
Well, you were, yeah. I don't know. I was like, yeah, this feels like such a, and like the fact that he chose a big tech or whatever, and it didn't make a difference. They were like, well, you didn't really convince him to do it, so like he didn't sign his letter of intent for you, so just because he did it doesn't mean you got him to do it. But then you're like, you don't know if that's what made him do it. You know what I mean? Like, and that was like something where I was like, oh man, did he do it because he thought it would get his dad out? And then it's not going to happen. So like he made this big state. Okay. But he made this like big decision. And then, is it for the wrong reason? And it's like, I felt so like overwhelmed because I didn't remember. Mm. I just remembered that whatever it was, they backed out of their end of the deal, but I didn't remember if it was just because I couldn't remember exactly how it ended.
I feel expected for him to get shot when that.
I know. Yeah.
Either way.
But it was just like, I was like, man, like it made you, because of how much pressure they put on him when he decided the school, I was like, did he do the right thing? How will we know? Mm-hmm. Like, it was so like,
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that really, I really felt like scared for him.
Not much of a resolution.
Yeah. I felt like scared for him. I'm like, did he make the right decision? Is he going to be okay? Is it like,
he seemed happy.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh God, what if it doesn't work out, like all this shit. And I was just like, wow, okay. They really did get me there. Cause I felt like panicky. I was like, oh God, did he only do it for his dad? And his dad's not going to get out of jail because of it. So now it's like, he did it for no reason. And did he ruin his life? Because everybody's like, this is the biggest decision you'll ever make. And by the end of it, I was like, this is the biggest decision he's ever going to make. Did he make it for the wrong reason? I was like, oh my God, I did it. I'm doing it. Like, you got me. But I don't know. I think I didn't. I know that you really hated the Mila Jovovich parts. Mm-hmm. You really hated those.
Yes.
I did think the final, I don't want to say sex scene because that's not what happens. Their
last scene together.
Yeah, the pre-Jack scene.
Pre-Jack?
Right? When he...
Oh, I see. Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
Happens.
Or whoever. I thought I told you someone...
Term. Yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah. Someone said that.
It's been a while.
Someone said that to me, and I was just like, what? I'm kind of interested in pre-Jack. What? Being humiliated for pre-Jack?
Yeah, in a pre-Jack.
Oh.
That whole...
Yeah, that was...
That whole storyline...
Made no sense, yeah.
I hated all of it. None of it was... It was all tropes.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I really hated the 30 seconds of her being on a bus at the end. I was like, are we really doing this? She finally got free.
Yep.
No.
Every scene is like that with her.
Yeah. No, I didn't enjoy her portrayal.
Oh, a white sex worker with a black pimp who beats on her? Come on.
Why do you let him do that?
And he saves her?
He loves me.
Seriously.
No, yeah, I know. Spike Lee.
Spike Lee, you know better. I know you know better.
Well, this was 1998. That was like Oscar material in 1998. That was probably
That's fine, but that's what pisses me off about it. This was his first movie to open in
number 1. Yeah, I saw that.
Also, the first movie of his where he doesn't even make a cameo.
Yeah. Coincidence?
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, this isn't my first Spike Lee. I've seen Malcolm X. Nope. That's not. I didn't see Malcolm X until like last year.
Oh, right.
This was my first Spike Lee film that I saw. I think that's why I was like, because when the 25th Hour came out, I think this movie is why I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch.
Never even heard of that.
It's not good. It's not good. It stars Edward Norton. It's stupid.
Remember when Chirac came out?
You reference it. No,
okay.
I don't even know what that is. I know that's a term for Chicago.
It's a Spike Lee movie.
But I've never heard of it. Except for when you're like, remember this?
All right.
And I say, sorry. I don't know what you're talking about.
Land of pain, misery, and strife.
Everybody here got a man banging and slanging, fighting for the flag, risking that long zip of the cadaver bag. All to the bang, bang. Bang, bang.
It all started with a gorgeous Nubian sister.
What's up, Spinner?
They call her Alyssa Struck, a woman like no other.
Sometimes Keith will reference things and he will think that I know what they are and I don't. And then he thinks that I'm
lying.
Yeah. I don't know what you think. You'll be like, you've heard of this. And I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Every now and then, I'll be like, oh, okay. I never would have remembered that on my own, but that seems familiar. Like, oh, okay. I'm not super familiar. But most of the time I'm like, I've literally never heard this song. I've never heard of this movie. I've never seen this TV show. And really? I'm just calling you out, buddy.
I guess I should just kill myself.
It's not fair that you can make that joke and it's funny. Yeah, I laugh, but if I make that joke, you get so upset.
That is 100% fair.
It's not fair.
It's not equal.
I want to make that joke.
But it's fair.
I want to make that joke.
You don't get to make that joke. I'm too sensitive.
I know.
I can make that joke because you've had parents that actually made that threat. So that's why it's funny. You can't make that joke because I don't have any parents.
Again, unfair.
I love exploiting that.
I do enjoy the time that I was at work back when I had a real job and people were talking about what they were going to do for the holidays. And I was like, yeah, Keith doesn't have any parents. So, and they were like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, I really am.
True.
They're like, I really wish. I'm like, yeah, you don't really understand how good you get it, you know. No parents. I'm like, yeah.
For serious.
Like, we just spend the holidays together. That's what we do. I'm like, oh my God. What's that like? It's really nice.
Pretty good.
It's really nice.
Pretty good.
And we like each other. It's pretty stupid.
It's what God intended for holidays.
Would you recommend?
Where are we at?
37.
That's it? And you're already asking?
Yeah, I ask at 40.
Oh, I thought it was 50.
I used to, but once I started actually doing full-time work, I gave up on that 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is ask at 40 now.
I don't understand why they're related.
Because I feel like I have less time to give a fuck. So 10 minutes makes all the difference.
No, I think you could watch. I haven't seen that many Spike Lee movies, but I've seen a handful, and any one that I've seen before this one I liked better. So
I would recommend specifically if you're interested, especially, well, not specifically, but especially if you like basketball or if you think basketball in film is often done poorly.
But here's the thing. I wonder about that. Because you don't actually see that much basketball being played.
Yeah, but when you do, it looks good. You know?
Yes, but it's like... I wouldn't think you get from it what you get from watching a game or following the sport.
No. I'm not saying I'm saying if you want to see basketball in film not looking super fake. I'm not saying if you want to watch a movie that makes you feel like you're watching a basketball game. No, I would say watch basketball.
I said what I said.
But I think I don't know. There's something that really felt like you're watching people play basketball.
I liked Ray Allen a lot.
I liked Ray Allen.
There are some moments that I enjoyed.
I liked, what about at the beginning when they're like, you said you couldn't help but think of the Key and Peele sketch.
Yes. When the rail splitters are introducing themselves.
And then
fucking booger.
When he's like, you've grown a few inches. He's like, really? He was 31.
Yeah.
Never related more.
We didn't say this, that originally Spike Lee wanted Kobe Bryant.
I guess they don't want us to talk about that. Yeah, originally he wanted Kobe Bryant.
Because I didn't know this because I don't give a shit, but because he was recruited out of high school straight to the NBA.
I didn't know that either. Yeah, that's crazy. To me.
And then oddly had a shit season.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
Couldn't do the film because he had to
dedicate it to training. Yeah. Which I'm like, but that's interesting because I'm like, because I feel like in some cases people would have done that because if they had it, like I had a shit season, so I better do this movie so that I have a backup.
Well, yeah,
you know
right,
what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting that he was like, no, I have to dedicate more time to this.
Right.
Which I find, I'm like, oh, that's actually really fascinating because a lot of people would have done the opposite out of fear. Or could have done the opposite out of fear.
Maybe.
But I do want to say, I do recommend it, not just because of basketball, but because I think it does make interesting choices in how it films things, in the way that it uses music. I feel like it felt unexpected. Even though I'd seen it before, it felt unexpected in a lot of ways, and I found it really interesting in ways that if this was my first time seeing it and I didn't know anything about it, I would be like, wow, what the fuck? Like, I would be...
See, it was my first time.
No, I know. But you are you're a more bad person than I am.
Yeah, well...
And I'm better at art than you.
I'm just not a fan of DEI.
Yeah.
Without which this film never would have been made.
Speaking of DEI, since we've dedicated the whole month to DEI.
Dumb eating instructions.
Ew.
Why has no one made this joke yet? Why is no one talking about this? No, I have more things to say about this film.
Okay,
please.
I'm sorry.
I hated it. It made me mad. Don't watch it. It's a piece of garbage. Dislike. No. Sometimes it worked. The scenes felt quasi-improvised.
Okay.
And sometimes it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it really didn't for me.
Okay.
When it works, it feels real. Like it feels like the awkwardness and the tensions of the people speaking over each other or the rhythms works.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when it didn't work for me was I felt like so many scenes went on too long to
I knew you were gonna
bring
say
home a point that had already been made.
Yeah.
Earlier in the film.
Gotcha.
And it's in the scene. Like the scene when they get in the car with Big Time or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. Like that's I like that sequence, but But it's too long. I didn't need it to go on for long, and cutaways or like not cutaways. I mean, he's still talking, and you see illustrations of all the temptations that he's describing.
First thing that's going to take you out is these drugs we got for you. We got the cocaine, heroin, crack cocaine. We got the uppers, the downers, the cheaper, crystal, meth, acid. We got the nicotine for you. Huh? You don't want none of that? And don't forget about the alcohol, baby. Yeah, we got that malt liquor, a.k.a. liquid crack. Let's go.
Just for you, black man. You see that shit be advertised up and down Park Avenue? Fuck no.
Fine. Good. Cut it in half, though. Like,
see, but I liked that. There was something about that I liked because I feel like stretching it out made it feel... I don't know. There was something about that. I actually... that was something that I was like, I bet you Keith isn't going to like how long these go on. But there was something about it that I was like... Yeah, I think it made it feel more real to me because, like... And I know that, like, the point of a movie is... Because it's not a literal... Like, the movie's not literal.
Right.
But it does things in literal ways, which I think is a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you do make a point, it takes a while for people to get that. So you have to, a lot of times, it does have to last longer and it does have to be longer. And you do have to, like, if you're actually doing it, to like, because you'll say it and someone will be like,
oh, you're like in real life.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
you have to keep explaining it. And a lot of times you're just repeating yourself or you're just saying it,
different ways.
Yeah, and it takes a while just for someone to like stop and listen to what you're saying. So there was something about it that felt like you were talking to a kid, like you were talking to someone that was young, that you were talking to people who were in situations where they're not wanting to listen to you, where they're not wanting to hear you. I don't know, it made it feel less like time was like it made you sit with, for me, it made me sit with the moment more and not think about what had happened or what was about to happen or what, like it lasted long enough that it would make me feel the scene more than if it was like, and I would be like, okay, they're having this conversation and it like, especially like when they're breaking up, that I don't know. There was something about that scene. I was like, this scene really, really sticks out to me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is lasting longer than a scene normally would. It's like, but like, this is how
I didn't mind it there. Like there, I thought it mostly worked.
Yeah. But like, that is how like two like fucking 17, 18-year-olds, that's exactly how they'd break up.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it happened more eloquently than...
Yeah, right, for sure.
But for the most part, like...
Nothing was thrown. Nobody was sobbing.
Right. And, especially like at the end when she tries to kiss him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was like, man, there was something that like it felt so real.
Yeah.
And so like that's what stuck out for me a lot of times was like when things lasted longer... It made me feel like I was there.
Yeah, and that's what I was referring to, or things like that is what I was referring to for when it works and why it feels improvised.
Okay.
And what I mean is it feels truer to
an
actual conversation.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It doesn't have the rhythm of written dialogue that's like even when well-rehearsed dialogue that's delivered naturally and realistic or whatever.
Right.
It has a rhythm that is not the same as an actual conversation.
Right. No, I get it. I get what you mean.
Yeah, and it does. Well, yeah. Despite the things I've already said, I do think it has it handles pacing in an interesting way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I don't dispute that. Like it does.
Yeah.
It has a flow.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah.
That sounds. I'm not saying that because.
It felt like watching a hip hop music video.
It's like it's just like when
it's like spoken poetry.
Yeah.
with a beat in the background, you know.
I told you how I don't remember the context, but Brian Eno saying like, "Oh, I don't feel like I have a good sense of." I don't remember what he said, but he's like, "But I can see sometimes things that are coming," and he was like, "I remember driving in a car with David Byrne and."
In music, I kind of very often have a pretty good feeling of what is about to happen. I don't mean that I could make it, but I'm not incredibly surprised by it. For instance, I remember saying to David Byrne, we were in a car in Los Angeles in 1980, and I said, I think there's going to be a kind of music where people kind of shout poetry over beats. And indeed there was.
Yes.
There will be music of people just speaking over a beat, implying that he predicted hip hop.
Yeah.
This genius foresight he had after visiting New York in the late 70s. Like, what? Good Lord.
And 30 years later, Eminem.
Yeah, was born. I saw him coming.
Melts in your mouth.
Speaking of David Byrne and similar things, I couldn't believe seeing Questlove say to David Byrne, you guys basically invented sampling. Did you know that you were doing that at the time?
And then you killed yourself.
Talking about
live on television.
My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, which is an album I'm quite fond of, but Questlove said that to him. Anyhow, the music in this film is songs contributed by Public Enemy, longtime collaborators with Spike Lee. Mm-hmm. Fight the Power was in Do the Right Thing to great effect. It's seared into my memory. The rest of the orchestral music is things composed by Aaron Copland that already existed.
Right.
Aaron Copland died in 1990 at 90 years old.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, and he was considered one of the, first great American composers, and what I mean is, if you ever study literature and, the first great American authors, it's basically, they're in the European tradition, but they're talking about living on stolen land.
Right, yeah.
So you're Nathaniel Hawthorne's and who wrote Mohicans. Not Longfellow.
Short fellow.
Short guy. Nathaniel, who else? Melville. Anyway. So like that, where it's European orchestral symphonic music that incorporates folk elements. So saucy. Sometimes it's dissonant when you don't expect it to be. Sometimes it's banjo. And famously, one of his pieces was used for Beef, It's What's for Dinner. Mm-hmm. The section called Hoedown from the piece called Rodeo. He knows. But, he has, Appalachian...
Just call me Brian because he knows.
All right.
Oh, we have to wrap it up. It's the last one of the movie. I'm sorry. I know it was
such a good.
I know. We can do a cut and then and a record scratch. Actually, I bet you're wondering how we got here.
I bet you're wondering who invented sampling. He knows.
It's the last movie of the month.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Devil in a Blue Dress is the standout for you.
What did we start with?
We started with Dead Presidents.
Oh, Dead Prez, yeah.
Dead Prez.
Yeah, I think Devil in the Blue Dress was the only one I actually liked.
Dead Presidents reached far and didn't pull back much. It just kept reaching. It just kept going.
It kept missing.
But it tried.
Just like Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Devil in a Blue Dress was good. I wish I could have done more screenshotting, but it would not let me.
Oh, that's right.
VLC would not cooperate with me. Even after a while, the button stopped. It would just stop.
Oh, damn.
I was like, okay, I'm just done. It wouldn't let me do
Finito.
anything. Yeah. So it just wouldn't let me take screenshots, or else you would have seen a lot more and probably better variety.
It wouldn't have just been literally one photo of a devil and one of a blue dress.
And then we did Low Down Dirty Shame, which was that was just a shame to watch. That one really was a stinker for me. Yeah. I think that one, I knew I was gonna like He Got Game, but I was a little worried that I was gonna be like, I was gonna rewatch and be like, oh, this is horrible. I do think I remember the big boobies in it. You know, that scene where he's having like a threesome. Yeah. I do remember being
with
like,
real life porn stars.
I do. I feel like at the time I was like, this is big. That was a very.
There are a lot of
boobs.
A lot of titties to be seen.
It's true. It's true. I remember that was a very.
None of it is particularly fun.
There was something, I'm sure that you feel similar. I don't know what it is, but there was like when I was like a teenager and you'd see that was like I feel like that was a particular sort of brand of scene that would happen in a movie where it would be like cameo by porn stars and you just see like huge tits and like no pubic hair.
Yeah.
And and that was always like so like not exciting. I wasn't like, yes, but I was like, oh, this is like, you know, they have sex, you know, I would immediately just start imagining sex when I would see that, you know, and I'd be like, oh, you know, and it was always very I know that you don't like fake boobies. I'm not saying I do. It's just there's a young closeted queer person being like seeing like that sort of hypersexualized femininity that was like you know, exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, this in 98, I mean late 90s, that was still an era of, this is my perception. So you don't have to agree with it.
I won't.
I feel like there was a period where in the 90s, when breast implants became ubiquitous or quasi-mandatory almost, but as in porn, I'm talking about, as such, people would get borderline unrealistic sizes, you know what I'm saying? Before the trend became like, if you're going to do it, get it where it looks almost naturalistic.
Yeah.
Before it became acceptable for just legitimate actors to get them.
Right.
Like now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Trins, thank you for blazing that trail, Jolene Blaylock. Or whomever.
I'll say it off air, but remind me to tell you a big booby story. It has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, okay, great.
I mean, we're talking
not
about
even boobs.
I knew I was gonna. I think He Got Game and Devil in a Blue Dress are a little bit tied for me.
Okay.
Devil in a Blue Dress was probably the standout because I'd never seen it before, never really heard of it before, and it was like so many, like just it just was throwing amazing performances in my face repeatedly, and I was like, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
So I like that, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. Devil in a Blue Dress was the winner, probably, because we both agree on that one. The winner. And the loser, he got Shame.
My mojo may stop, my Toby may fail, but when I rub my root, I just can't go to jail. When I rub my root, oh my John the Conqueror. Ain't nothing you can do when I rub my Johnny the Conqueror.
Booger.